taste. Busting makes me feel good.
Hey everybody, welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, it's a rare twofer on an episode. We have the hosts of the Aged Like Milk podcast, David Rogers and Herbert-Taylor.
Hi, it's us.
Thanks for having us.
This is our first on-screen appearance together, I believe. Yeah, we don't record our podcasts with our faces, so some people may be shocked to find out that David William Rogers is actually a bald biracial man because we never mention that on our podcast
we don't.
ever.
Wow.
So,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were talking about MasterChef before this, and you do look like a very famous MasterChef contestant.
I think, actually, I know who you're talking about. He's got a little facial hair, too.
And his name is also David.
Is it David? Okay.
it's actually this guy right here. Surprise! He's
Chop
a really
it up.
You're a professional Magic the Gathering player who knows how to cook.
Yep, definitely
I
sounds
think-
like you.
Was he on an HBO Max show, too, recently?
He might have been.
Yeah.
He's a poker player, too. He does
Okay.
all the card games.
Damn.
Poker.
Got a lot going on.
Magic
Yeah.
the Gathering.
Chef.
Yeah.
Chefing.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had a tantrum on an episode. He almost walked off the show. It was...
We love that. That's
Love
great
that.
TV
Because
right there.
someone didn't go with what he played in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Someone rolled a 7.
Yeah.
And
That's a no-go
they
when
have
the
to-
ogres
Do
are
that.
out.
Yeah,
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 so he didn't have enough mana taps to cook the fish.
He was like, I'm out of
Yeah.
to cook the fish.
Well, I'm excited. Y'all have a great movie-type podcast that people should listen to, especially if they like this show, Aged Like Milk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
David's wearing the merch right now, which is one of 3 hoodies that exist in the
Yes.
world right now.
A great logo, by the way.
Thank
Selling it
you.
as an NFT, and that's the only place you can get it.
We're gonna get. Do you guys have merch?
No,
No.
I have stickers.
Okay, we have stickers.
But that's really about it. I think it might be about time to do some new merching.
Listen, I would be fucking thrilled if I saw someone walking around town in like a hoodie that I made. I'd be like, I don't know, I might
Yes.
explode. That's pretty
I'm
crazy.
there.
That'd be
I
great.
made
On the
it.
way.
I made it.
But Age Like Milk, very fun show.
Thank you.
Talking about movies, how they've aged, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's problematic, which it seems like the answer is usually yes on those.
It's a mixed bag, yeah.
I'd say it's mixed.
I would say like anything before like 2006 is like pretty high chance that it's aged, unfortunately. Yeah.
I buy that.
You start going down and, you go to the 50s and there's definitely going to be something racist.
But it was
yeah.
a different
It
time.
was a different time.
What a
The
different
milk was
time.
so fresh when we made it.
I ran
Yeah.
into that when I did an episode a while back with my friend Lily Holloman about the Philadelphia story,
Oh.
which a classic, but
Yeah.
also
Tom Hanks,
from the
Denzel.
50s.
Rough.
No,
Not that
that's Philadelphia. Also probably aged poorly.
Yeah.
This is about Jimmy Stewart being like an abusive alcoholic, but
Yep.
it's all done in fun and games.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
so fun to be an alcoholic these days.
course.
Speaking of
Yeah.
David William Rogers,
Ooh.
we should have cracked these open.
Yes.
We are not
Cheers.
sponsored. Cheers. If you are an alcohol brand, we drink a lot on our podcast, and
Get
we would
that-
happily take your money and your alcohol.
That
That
seltzer
Buddhist
brand,
one.
y'all.
Yeah.
What you got? Black cherry? What is that?
Yep, black cherry.
Yeah, black cherry.
Nice.
The
It's,
most disgusting of flavors.
it is refreshing. Served ice cold.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is fitting to talk about, y'all drinking at a time in a movie where the bar plays an important and vital role.
Yes.
That is 2016's Passengers.
Yes, this movie. I want to say up the top that I actually know one of the producers of this film, Ori Marmor. He was also a producer on a film that I worked on. And we always talk about in our podcast, like, even if a movie has aged badly or it's not amazing and we are about to eviscerate this film, we do acknowledge the contributions to the movie of everyone. And just because we don't love the film doesn't mean we don't love the people who
Yeah.
made the film.
It's hard work getting these movies out, right?
Yeah.
Like you're on set for a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes on behind the camera and behind what people see that final project. So there's a ton of people working back there, blood, sweat, and tears, and they're putting 100% into it. So
Yeah.
you got to love that part of it, even if it doesn't turn out sometimes the way they want it to, or the
Yeah,
fans
and I
don't take
think,
it.
especially with this movie, I feel like this is one of those movies that you could guess that the people working on it did not think they were making a bad movie when they were
No,
working on it.
I don't think anybody goes into it thinking that they're going to make a bad movie.
I think people figure it out maybe like
Maybe.
halfway
Halfway
through
through.
that
Fuck.
it's like,
This is a train wreck.
Dude, this is awful, right? I know.
But you're on the train
Tell
and
my
like
family
yeah,
to skip
yeah.
skip past the credits
Yeah.
on this one. They can walk. But I feel like this seems like from start to almost finish, everybody involved in making this movie was like, we're going to make something really cool and interesting. You know, it had been in development hell for a really long time.
With Keanu Reeves' company.
Yeah, and I know Keanu Reeves was originally attached to play the Chris Pratt role. They were, let's see here. Yeah, this has been in development. It was written in 2007.
It actually topped the Blacklist, which is a very prestigious list for scripts. And we talked about this earlier, but yeah, different script. I read the script, different movie. Very
wow.
different. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
I would love to know, because if you haven't seen Passengers, listeners and viewers, Passengers is a movie that is about people on a giant space cruiser that is traveling
yeah,
to
like a cruise ship almost.
Yep. Yeah. And it's trying to colonize. They're trying to colonize the planet to emigrate from Earth to Homestead 2.
Homestead 2, yep.
And it is all these people are in hibernation for a number of years, and the hibernation pods break. Chris Pratt wakes up. He's alone for a year. Then he sees Jennifer Lawrence just looking cute in sleep and thinks, I got to do something about this, and wakes her up from hibernation, and it gets real weird and creepy for like 2/3 of its running time.
Yeah. So basically, he'd been in hibernation for about 30 years. He finds out eventually when he's asking the program that's on the spaceship. And he's like, fuck, I got 90 years left to go. And he's talking to his bartender, who's a robot.
Android, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And he just can't take it anymore. You see him go through like these highs and lows. He's playing basketball. He breaks into a suite. He's living his life. And then he falls into depression. He almost kills himself, throwing himself out of the airlock. And then he trips and falls right next to J-Law's pod and was like, you know what? I'm a passenger this chick.
That has actually become like an adjective in our lives. Like, I don't know where along the way, but like, if you don't want to do something or you get kind of roped into doing something, you passenger, like against your will.
Yeah, that should be the tagline for this movie is, y'all ready to get passenger?
You ready to get
They
passenger?
passenger.
It's really a question of consent, right? Like that's one of the main themes of this movie that does not work. He is lonely. She is asleep. He becomes obsessed with her. They have like these files where they're like talking. And so he feels like he knows everything about her.
Right.
And then he essentially like condemns her to the same like limbo life because, I mean, I don't know how old he's supposed to be. In the original, he was supposed to be like 20. She was supposed to be like 24. Clearly, Chris Pratt is not 20 years old in this movie.
No.
But he's not going to be alive in 90 years when they arrive.
Neither
Either
is
way,
she now.
yeah.
So she even says it's murder.
It's murder.
Yeah.
She took my life from me. And it's a very interesting question where you're like supposed to believe this love story and you're like, this guy fucking killed her.
Yeah.
But she's still
Right.
alive.
Yeah. It's what happened in the original script? How did it change so drastically to where it became?
It was actually the
this?
third act, which was very different. It was like a much darker
Thriller, sci-fi
yeah,
thriller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's some other like a situation that happens and all of the stasis pods get like ejected with all the people inside.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
the only people walking out onto Homestead 2 are Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence's characters' offspring. So humanity did
Yeah.
make it to Homestead 2, but it's
So
just their
There's a scene in it or would have been a scene
Doc.
where Jennifer Lawrence is like, this is the only part of me that's going to make it there. And there's a bunch of eggs and embryos like that are frozen on the ship from all the people that are on there, right, in the cargo.
Okay.
So what happens is Chris Pratt wakes up, same thing happens, right, for Act 1, Act 2, and then like another malfunction because that asteroid hit, right, it's going to be like a cascading effect where the ship's going to eventually just break down. So that one of those things happens and it opens the airlock where all
Yeah.
the people are in it. And if J-Law
Had been
didn't get
asleep.
passengered,
Yeah.
she would have been
So he
dead
basically
too. So
saved her.
Saved
It's
her,
different.
yeah.
It's very different.
But I read something that this movie would have been totally different if you took it from J-Law's point of view. So you don't know that Chris Pratt woke her up until she finds out.
That would have been so
Yeah.
creepy.
That's that sci-fi thriller, and you can still have the same. Laurence Fishburne wakes up.
Yeah, it's like a
they fix
Hal
the
kind
shift.
of like, I can't do that,
Yeah, but
Hal.
you'd be so much more engaged as an audience
Yeah.
member
Yeah.
if they did it that way.
I think I 100% agree, and I remember reading that same thing. I know she did an interview where she talked about how she wished that was the way it began, and I think that if they just made that one simple tweak in the edit, where you start out with her waking up, and then she's wandering around. We don't see any of the first 30 minutes or so where it's just Chris Pratt wandering around, being sad and growing a beard and doing the whole Tom Hanks and Castaway thing. And then you at least have the chance to show all that stuff later on in flashback and have this sinisterness to it that it doesn't have, as opposed to it being a weird meet cute.
Because you're thinking, what's going on with Chris Pratt's character? Do
Why
you
is he
trust
being
him?
shady? Yeah.
Do you not trust him? Like,
Wow, this robot is really dropping some weird sentences here.
Yeah.
He was so excited to meet you, and she's like, what?
What?
and that's a crazy part too, because the two of them are sitting there after a good date night, and the android's like, or Jennifer Lawrence says, "No secrets between us," and the android goes, "Is that right?" to Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt's like, "You heard the lady."
Yep.
So in his mind, he's like, "Oh, well, she knows that he passenger."
He just gave her the A-OK.
Yeah,
She
so
got
he goes to the
passenger.
bathroom, and that's why he
I
tells her.
totally misread. I
Yeah.
read that a different way, where I felt like it's Martin Sheen, right? Michael Sheen playing
Mike Sheen.
Arthur.
Martin Sheen would have been a very
That would be a
different
different movie.
bartender.
Very different movie.
Good old president bartender. That
but
would
I
have been
think
fun.
I felt like he was like kind of turning evil-ish.
No,
Yeah.
Chris Pratt gave him the go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
Because they paused for a second. And he goes,
But it was
so she
kind of
knows.
sinister.
He's like, it's okay. Yeah, she totally knows. I'll let her in on the secret. That's
Yeah.
not a secret. There's none. So the first time y'all saw this movie, because this is, again, before we talked about this was going to be what we talked about, I'd never seen this movie. I'm not a huge
cannot
sci-fi
believe
person. I'm just not a huge sci-fi person.
This was a big movie, though.
It was
like $100 million budget.
Yeah, and I remember it was the number 3 at the box office out of the entirety of the year. And this came out pretty late in the year.
Yeah, and it got like a bunch of nominations. It was like very hotly anticipated.
Yeah,
And
and
then
it-
people, I think, started to be like, hang on a second.
Right. Yeah.
Hold up now.
Morton Tildum, this was his first big movie right after The Imitation Game. So he's coming off of a bevy of huge accolades from directing that. And of course, Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence, they're two of the biggest stars in America at the time. So I really just, as soon as people came out with reviews lambasting this movie, I was like, I guess I probably don't need to see that. So y'all saw it though. Y'all saw it in theaters.
Yes.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Not together.
Yeah.
Not
we
together.
did. We were not friends yet, unfortunately.
I didn't even live in California.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was living in
Yeah,
Toronto. You were in
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I went on a date. I was on a date with the trainer from my gym, and I was like, "Oh, they got the nice new leather recliners at this theater. I'm gonna take a little extra drive. Like, it's a winning cast. This is gonna be amazing." And then we're sitting there talking at the end of the movie, and I was like, "That did not come across."
Was this a first date?
I think it was like our second
Certainly a
movie
last
date.
date.
I think it was our second.
Yeah, it seems like a
She's
movie
like, I
you
gotta get
can't
outta
see
here.
early
Yeah,
on.
It was
in
like
any
our
sort of dating
second movie
cycle.
date. I think our first one was Tarzan.
Okay.
So I'd have to go back and check, but we saw
So
those
you were really
two.
like, these hot guys on screen
Yeah,
are
they'll
going to get her
it
going.
They're
Yeah.
gonna pregame for me. I'm gonna slide in.
I mean, that's smart, but also this, if that's your psyche, Chris Pratt in Passengers is definitely not the image that you want to be projected.
no, that's why I was like, oh shit, nothing's happening tonight.
Uh-oh.
Unless I
Okay.
have a written agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if
Can
I'm
I just
going
get you to
Chris
sign
Pratt,
this real quick? Yeah.
I'm not trying
Fuck.
to pass it.
And what about you? Chris?
I think I was probably also on a date with my ex-boyfriend. How many exes ago? Well, I think it was one ex ago. It was in Toronto. It was probably already getting pretty cold. And I remember seeing it at the Eaton Centre, which is like kind of like Toronto's Times Square.
Okay.
And I remember sort of the similar vibe at the end, just kind of like silence where everyone was like, what the fuck did we just watch? Like, it's just like, how can you make this movie and not one single executive is like, are we crossing the line with the consent thing? Especially like what kind of was happening at the time when I look at the context, like Me Too was kind of on the rise.
Yeah.
You know?
And then also to make it where it's like a joyful movie, and then she's just like, she's upset for a little bit, and she watches
Then they
she
plant a
watches
fucking tree and all is well.
And she watches the video of her girlfriends back home, like, I just hope you meet somebody. And then she's like, yeah, I did meet somebody.
Yeah.
And he fucking woke me
Okay,
up.
can I just say, I mean,
And I'm in.
it's so interesting to watch this movie as well, like post-pandemic. Like, I don't know who you guys spent the pandemic with. I have the best partner in the world. I love him to death. I spent a year and a half locked inside an apartment with him, and I want to fucking murder him. This woman is stuck in a spaceship. There's no other people. At least I could like FaceTime David and be like, we gotta go for a walk. You know what I mean?
Right.
This woman, there's no other humanity. And she still loves him for 90 years? Like, she has no other choices.
I mean, are you guys waking other people up?
I
if that's
would.
you?
They have to.
Oh my
They
God.
should.
Yeah.
Or she had the option to go back into the med pod.
Right.
Which is,
To
can we just talk about the scientific logic in this film for a second? There are
Sure.
some gray
It's a pretty
areas.
gray area.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about future medical science.
No.
But this seems
None of us
like
do.
it seems like literally they were just making words up in like
Yeah,
in the
it's a
med
tesseract,
pod.
right? Tesseract.
When Chris Pratt, he comes back by this huge spoiler, Chris Pratt almost dies in like a pseudo nuclear explosion when they're trying to
Yeah.
keep the space
In
station
this-
from
in this-
exploding.
he did the
Spaceship-
Thor thing.
In this
where it's
spaceship
like-
that is basically made of tissue paper if these like asteroids are breaking through it. Like,
they're like,
come
it's supposed
on.
to be totally meteor proof,
Yeah,
except for
except
the
for these
bevy of
meteors,
meteors that split the ship.
Rip into the ship like, boom.
And also, how is there not any explosive decompression besides just the one room, even though there's like 50 other rooms that meteors had?
that had a hole in it. Yeah.
Literally, this
Because
movie
of
is full
science.
of holes.
Yeah.
because of science. Okay.
But so they go, and he almost dies, and Jennifer Lawrence pulls his corpse.
She goes and gets her man.
She goes and gets him from space.
Yeah.
And she pulls him and puts him in the med pod, and then goes to the like the
Touchpad.
control board and just selects all.
She just elevates it where you do all the buttons. Boom.
And there's definitely words in there that like I mean resuscitation I've seen, defibrillation I've seen, oxygenation. I get it. Context clues.
Yeah.
There's I think I saw like trapezoidation in there. I don't know
Obviously,
what
the
any of that
That's
shit does.
where this had
They
atrophied
pinched
because he was holding on so long, so they had to
guts
loosen
in.
that up. It's like a
Yeah.
little massage.
Yeah.
Trapezoidization.
Oh yeah, you gotta get parallelogrammized. You gotta get in there.
Obviously.
Yeah.
My
And then-
question is, they do that to him. There is one other character in this, Sir Laurence Fishburne.
Sir Laurence
yes.
Fishburne.
Greatest actor. Love him.
15 minutes.
15 minutes
in this whole
his
movie.
pod gets fucked up. We never see that. We never know anything. And then
Right.
he's suddenly dying.
Yeah.
And they weren't like, let's put him in the med pod. They were just like, well, you've had a good run.
And
It's been about
there
15
was,
minutes. Yeah.
They put it. Yeah, they put him in the med pod. They don't even try. The med pod's just like, hey, yeah, well, you're fucked. Dude.
You're
We can give you a
Sorry.
list. Here's a couple aspirin.
Yeah.
just do all the
Yeah.
things. See what happens.
And
Like, why not?
that's the like the exposition, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and he's like, oh well, my pod's fucked up. It had a bunch of malfunctions, so that's okay. While I'm sick, you're fine because it was just this little shortage. But you woke up Jennifer, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I did. He's like, how long were you? A year? It's kind of fucked up, but I get it. She's sexy as hell.
He's got
like
Yeah,
he wasn't that
she's-
mad at him.
Maybe I'm going to go take a walk down the row and see if I can get me one of them.
Laurence Fishburne's character in this reminded me a lot of. Have you ever seen Snakes on a Plane?
Yeah.
No, I have not seen that
Okay,
movie. I
Snakes on a
have to
Plane
watch it.
is incredible. Snakes on a Plane. There's a flight attendant who's like it's her last flight.
Of course.
She's
she's one day away from retirement.
exactly,
Sure.
and she gets bit by a snake on the
Of
plane.
course.
Hey.
But she
Gonna happen.
Retirement.
Oh yeah, but she, she sacrifices herself
Yeah.
to save a child, and Laurence Fishburne really has like that kind of energy in this movie.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, he's a crew member. He's not even like high up in the crew list. He admits that. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm just like a deck guy.
Just
Yeah,
wake up
that
the
guy.
fucking crew. That is what I
Yeah,
want
he
to
could have.
scream at the
The-
TV.
He's
Just
got the access to everything.
wake
He's totally
up
good.
the crew.
But also the math doesn't check out, right? So there's 3 people awake, 2 are awakened by the malfunctions on the ship, right? There's like 5,200 people, 5,000 are just civilians, and there's like a crew of like 2,000.
300 or something.
Something like that. I think it was like, around 2,000.
Yeah, right
so just the math doesn't check out. If Chris Pratt said there were 16 of those little helper robots that malfunctioned. So you're telling me out of all those pods, out of 5,200, only 2 malfunctioned, and that whole ship was going
Berserk,
haywire?
yeah.
Yeah, like give me a break. Just the math alone, if all these other systems are functioning,
My thing as well
those
is like
pods should be opening
with
up more.
5,000 people, you can get a lot of shit done. With 4 people, like you are exponentially growing the amount of problems that you can solve. No. Me and Chris are going out into this thing.
Especially he knows where all the other engineers are.
Right.
Yeah.
Wake him up.
Yeah,
Wake
he's a
him up.
mechanic himself.
And they can put you all back to sleep and it's all going to be chill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But you're telling me in 90
want the writer.
years.
I want the cute blonde writer.
Yeah.
The first one I checked out, by the
journalist,
way.
exactly.
I want the space
Yeah.
manic pixie dream girl
Yeah.
who's like got a trust fund and spent her dad's money to get on this ship so
get
she could
there.
write about it
Selfish.
for a year.
Our
So
dad
selfish.
died.
Come
That's
back.
fine. Yeah.
250 years later. The ego on J-Law. I'm just going to
Okay,
go.
first of all, her name is Aurora.
Aurora.
And it's
That's a
interesting
very
that that's
pretty
her name. It's the same name that Sleeping Beauty has. Do we see any kind of
Ooh.
Ooh,
correlation?
It's
Does
almost
Sleeping
like
Beauty get passengered?
they,
I mean, Sleeping Beauty gets kissed against her will. Come on now. The guy
To
sees her
wake
through
up.
the
But
glass.
she was poisoned. She was put to sleep by her.
I mean,
against
Jennifer
her will,
Lawrence is
wasn't?
Jennifer Lawrence, but Jennifer Lawrence signed up for this.
Yeah, but I'm
So she
saying
was
it's reversed.
asking for
So
it,
it's
is what you're
reversed.
saying.
Exactly. She shouldn't have been in that hibernation pod if she
God
didn't want to get
damn.
unhibernated.
Shouldn't have looked so cute, Jen. The fuck, Aurora? What are you doing in here, girl?
Wear a sweatshirt and a
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's part of
And
the
a
problem
beanie in there.
of this movie too. It's like there's so much that even there's a lot of people have said huge praise about like the production design of this.
Very
movie.
good production design.
Very good production design. I have a big problem with Jennifer Lawrence's costumes in this movie.
It's a choice.
It's
Are you talking about the bathing suit?
I'm talking almost entirely about the
bathing suits are nice. Her black dress was really nice.
But why does she have like a mesh bikini if she's only swimming what seems like purely for exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Science.
that's true. But hold,
Obviously.
hold,
I
please. She didn't know she was going to be passengered. This was supposed to be her going
a
swimming at the
cruise.
beaches
Oh,
on
yeah, that's
Homestead
right.
too.
That's a good
So
point.
she was planning to be like
That's
socialite.
because that's a cabana.
Yeah, exactly.
swimsuit
She was going
more
to go to
so
the
than an
pool
active
parties
swimsuit.
on Homestead too, which I hear are amazing this time of year.
Oh yeah.
But
You got to make sure
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
have enough if we're going to talk about Jennifer Lawrence's swimsuits.
yeah.
Listen,
But
I
think
get
that's
it.
why she had that clothing. Right.
The swimming pool itself makes no fucking sense. So you're telling me the swimming pool juts out into space. There's like a glass
It's got a little
dome
bubble
type
dome,
situation. That glass can withstand space and she can swim out into the ocean. It doesn't make any sense.
Why?
What is that glass made out of?
Something pretty cool that somebody
Somehow-
How has
invented
the
back
glass
on Earth.
not gotten
Tricep the
shattered
glass-
by the
exactly.
meteors? The meteors ripped through the metal of the
I'll
ship.
tell you
They
what-
didn't
Well,
break the
I'll
glass.
tell you what
got past the shield, right? That was a big ass meteor. It was eating up all the little ones, and part of it got through. Remember, it diverted all the power from the
Yeah.
back to the front.
But I'll tell you how we can fix up this hole: an iPad and some concrete.
Yeah.
Done.
There you go.
A concrete from a
Like a
fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher
Yeah.
concrete. Spray it on. We're good to
But
go.
mainly the iPad just blocked it up. Stop
What if
the
there was
Yeah.
what if there was a fire in there, and all he's got is the concrete one? Where was the firefighter one?
You just spray that on fire with concrete.
That's
done.
how they should have. That's how they should have solved the nuclear reactor problem. They should have got another fire extinguisher and just sprayed
Shot
that
it in
on
there.
the reactor. It would have
Yeah.
been good.
The science in this makes no sense. No sense. Also, why is it 120 years to Homestead too? That's just such a random.
It's 50% of light year is what they're
Okay,
traveling.
fine.
at.
Yeah, they're traveling
Wow.
50% of light speed, but it's like I don't understand. I wish that there's so much that I'm okay with not understanding in this movie. Like I don't need to understand how the hibernation pods work and keep you in stasis.
An audience, you shouldn't either.
Yeah, but I do need to understand why there are so many weird choices made in the movie as far as the technology of the
Yeah.
ship. Why is the ship even talking? Well, remember when they talked to, they're like, hey, look, they're passing by the sun right now. There's a big announcement that goes on over the entire ship.
Why?
That's
Everyone's asleep.
Why is exactly?
Yeah.
Who is running the ship? Why does nobody know how to wake anybody up? Why is everybody acting like idiots in this movie?
And the shipper's responding to some of their requests,
Yeah.
and it's knowing they're alive. Another thing that popped into my head when you just said that is how much food is going to be left with these two scrounging through shit for the next 60, 50 years?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
the staff gets up,
Except
a
for
year before?
4 months.
4 months before?
Well, thank
The
God.
staff gets up earlier.
Don't know where the chickens came from. There's chickens running around at the end.
Yeah,
They probably have the
where did
eggs
those
somewhere.
chickens
They
come
grew
from?
Because they had
trees.
trees, they
Yeah.
had flowers, so they probably have a bunch of storage because they're
that's a
colonizing
good point.
Yeah.
Homestead too. So he's probably just digging through a bunch of shit. Now that he's got that new.
Sorry,
Apple
guys. We're going to
bracelet.
actually have to eat some of you because
Yeah.
we've run out of food. So, yeah.
That's smart. If you know you're going to eat all of the executive level breakfast, you got to start growing more executive level food.
Exactly.
Another part I liked, which I wish they would have expanded more, is the company, the Homestead company.
Like
They said they
who's
made a
sending them?
gazillion on the first Homestead, and that Chris Pratt has to give 20% of all his earnings once he gets the Homestead 2, plus whatever he ate up during the
Spends.
trip. Yeah, that he owns. So it's like almost indentured servitude. So I wouldn't mind seeing like a sequel with Andy Garcia, who was in this movie for 2 seconds, who had no lines, who's a Oscar-nominated actor.
And he shows up in the trailer, and he shows
Wait,
up in the
who's Andy
movie for the
Garcia in
exact
this
same
movie?
amount of time.
He opens the door and he
He's the
sees the
captain.
big tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can. I couldn't find anywhere where there was talk of a sequel. Like, why is Andy Garcia? No, not one word spoken. He killed it when he was like,
Maybe he
wow.
was
Yeah,
friends
he
with someone.
he had a great look.
Yeah, great look on his face. Maybe,
But,
maybe he was
yeah.
friends with someone.
It's just it's
He just wanted to come day play, you know?
Yeah, he's just doing it for the love of the bullshit game.
he had to re-up his union card.
Yeah. He's like, I heard you guys got good crafty on set. Maybe I'll come hang out.
Now, here's a question that I have. There's a lot of course, in the reviews of this movie, it's been almost universally lambasted. One of the things that I can't understand why people talk about this, and maybe y'all would understand a little bit better since you saw it at the cusp of its popularity. There's a lot of people comparing this to Titanic. They're saying it's the Titanic for a new generation. And for the life of me, I can't understand why that is the case. Was there really like this vibe when y'all saw it of just like, oh, this is like the great modern romance?
Did
of the
anybody
time?
care about any of those people in those pods? While you guys were watching this, did you care about
We weren't
when the
given an
system
opportunity,
when the
no.
systems were getting messed up and you thought the ship was going to be stranded or crashed? Did anybody pop in their head? Oh my God, those 5,000 people!
Okay, but first of all, who's
Titanic
saying
is-
that? Because that
yeah.
to me sounds like something like a publicity like VP was like, oh my God, this is
Titanic
so
actually
smart.
crashed,
There's-
right? And those people are
But
alive
also-
while
but
going
also-
through that
right,
traumatic
and
event.
Also in Titanic, you have like a discussion about class and like
And it was literally
humanity.
the boat class.
Yeah, literally. And like
higher level, lower level.
Yeah, I mean they kind of touch on that with like executive level and bullshit like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Titanic is about a love story. This is about a man who passengers somebody.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Leo DiCaprio is not passengering Rose, you know?
That's true.
He's standing on top of a battleship being like,
he shot his shot and
Yeah.
she went for it.
Yeah.
And now he gets to
he didn't
draw
see her asleep and be like,
Yeah.
sup, lady? You wanna get on this door with me? Or what are we talking about? I mean, I guess like the iceberg thing, like the asteroid.
Meteor. That's the
I
only
guess.
thing, though. And it's a ship with a ton of people, but that's it.
There's multiple reviews that are like, it's Titanic among the stars, a touching, heartfelt tale of loss and love for the gravity generation.
I feel like someone was paid to
Yeah,
write
that sounds like a thing that a journalist was like, this is so fucking smart, as he like coaxed himself up, like
What do you
writing
need? A
his
couple hundred
review.
words on this? Titanic? Yeah.
I got you. I'm so smart.
I think this movie should have gone the Titanic route and let Chris Pratt die.
Yes.
That was part of one of the things I saw. He dies. That's another alternate ending. And then they show her go through the trauma of being isolated. And then at the end of it, she's about to open another pod. So then she passengers somebody else
Forbidden
potentially.
fruit.
Yeah,
It's a cycle of abuse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Love to see it. Yeah.
Which is another interesting take that I think would have been better than
You
what
know,
we got.
I was trying to do the math too. Okay, so they've got this one medical pod, and for those that haven't seen the film, you can basically go back to stasis, right? And he's like, you should get in the pod
Right.
to Aurora, Chris Pratt's character. And she doesn't do it. And I was trying to do the math. I'm like, well, what if they did like a year on, a year off, a year on, a year off? Nah, like I was,
Yeah.
if they still have 90 years to go, they'd have to do 40, that's 44 years each in the pod. So they'd get there and they'd be like 75.
Yeah, and you don't want to go 5 years alone, 5 years off.
I
But
was thinking like 1 year on, 1 year off.
why didn't they try to both go in it? So that's something that popped in my head today when I watched it again. That's a Titanic,
Question,
two people on one
question.
door.
Now that's definitely a Titanic
Two people,
move,
one
yeah.
door.
When you're
thing.
going in, are you doing head to tail or are you doing
No,
face
you
to face?
spoon, because at that time they were on a good,
Oh,
they're on a
spooning.
good page.
I immediately thought face to face, lying on top of each
That's-
other
that's
like a
spoon.
sandwich a little
I'm
bit.
thinking
Are you guys
my
side
feet,
sleepers?
feet up
Guys?
here, feet up here. But they only have like the one injection when they put them under. It's like, I don't know what the science
Oh,
is. We
they
don't
got a
know.
shot
I
to
don't
go
know,
under.
yeah.
I just thought they didn't think about that, right? Like
Sure.
get a stick and hit the button, let it collapse on both of
Yeah.
them, see if they both go to sleep.
Also, why is there for a ship with 5,000 passengers?
There's one
There's
backup.
one med pod.
Yeah.
Of course.
Riddle me this. So you're telling me they died on the same day? Why didn't somebody go in the med pod after the partner passed away?
To wake up and be like, dude,
To
this
wake up,
fucking
here's
happened.
what I did.
Question,
Like
I'm gonna open
say they're
the second
80
one.
years
Open it.
old. Yeah.
I was going to
Rip
share
it and
I can
grip
pour
it.
some in there. if you-
No, I'm good. Do
He's
your
driving.
thing.
I'm not driving. I got a lift here because I got passenger to this
I
podcast.
passed it right away.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions.
This movie raises so many more questions the more I talk about
Yeah.
it.
Well, also, it's like you're telling me 5,000, I have the number here, 5,258 people
Mm-hmm.
are on a ship, no other humans. It takes 19 years to get a message. There was no backup plan. Like, I feel like,
39 to get it back.
right, like,
too, yeah.
what, like, space, like, there's going to be no problems.
Nah,
The ship's
not
not going
at
to break
all.
down, an asteroid's not going to hit, we're not going to go through a wormhole, like, nothing.
And another riddle me this. When they're talking space travel nowadays, I mean, this is a couple years old, there's like routes that'll be taken. Like when people were inventing ships, right? People would go those routes and they'd say, all right, don't go this way. It's treacherous. So some event could have happened that put those asteroids there, but there should be a lane
That's not going through.
going through any kind of asteroid field.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if they're making a
But are you
gajillion
also
dollars,
telling me, yeah, there's no like,
They should
there's
have
no on the
scouts.
way like stops. Like we just did Space Truckers with our
Yeah.
friends over at Shut Up, I Love It, right? Another podcast that we all love about films.
Yes.
And there's all these diners at the end of the world. And like, are you telling me this 16 trillion bajillion, dollar fucking venture doesn't have checkpoints where people are like, oh, I'll go start the colony on fucking
Just make
XYZ.
sure they're all good to
yeah.
go.
Especially if it's a cruise style format, then how come you don't have like whatever space NASA is,
Right.
right?
yeah,
6 months on, 6 months off.
Little
Like, you
port.
know.
Yeah.
yeah, pop them out, let
Yeah.
them let them
wander around a little bit.
And why
see
isn't
the
that
native culture on the asteroid
Exactly.
belt or Io or whatever moon they're going to stop off
I'm
at?
going to write a book that people in 400 years are going to read. It's going to be super relevant.
Why isn't it an option? And this just seems like a great business idea to be able to have people get up out of their pod, say a year or two out, and live that space life journey on the craft and not just show up 2 months out of landing, right? So what if I want to go over and
Stretch my legs.
check out a star or a sun? You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
feel like, hey, if you get up early, there's a gold, premium, platinum package. It's a couple extra billion, but hey, you get to live. You're an actual space person.
Right.
You get to hang out.
Dr.
what good?
Spaceman.
Yeah. What good is the having the option to like go have a spacewalk if you're only going to be able to use it for 4 months out
There's
of your time
5,000
there?
people on the
Yeah.
ship. It's going to be fucking booked up as
Exactly.
shit.
Yeah, what kind
Yeah.
of a fucking line are you going to be dealing with? All right.
I'm not doing that. I'll
No,
go
no,
first.
thank you. I will
mean,
pass.
Actually, I wouldn't do it. I think that seems like a stupid thing to do.
Oh, I'd do that for sure.
You would?
Yeah.
Dangerous.
I would do it, but I would be a chicken about it until like the very, very last week. And then I would psych myself up to do it. And I'd be like, yeah, I'd try and really get good at the space dancing game. Which also, why did none of the space dancing people come back and attack them? If the ship's malfunctioning, that's
Yeah.
a great place. They could have
Yeah.
gotten kicked in the head by somebody doing
Yeah.
a breakdancing move.
That was such a lame scene. Oh my fucking God. I was like, do we need this in this very
Yeah,
serious movie?
Let's do dance off. Yeah, there's a lot of amenities on that thing for only a couple
Right.
months for 5,000 people.
Here's another question. Is it a very serious movie? Because it seems like it tries to have it both ways, where it tries to play like this serious drama. And then there's also, of course, you need levity in a dramatic movie, but it seems like they're trying to go a little bit too hard in the like cutesy rom-com route. It just doesn't seem right. Like the thrilleriness just doesn't come through the way it did.
First 30, 45 minutes is just Chris Pratt being all the Chris
Castaway.
Pratt we love, you know? Goofy, kind of funny, charming.
Well, I was
and
trying to remember where this falls into like Guardians of the Galaxy, like in that, you know, like was that
timeline,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he, you know, obviously he's like came up through
let's take a
Parks and
look.
Recreation, and like he is a comedic actor, so I think they were trying to add like a little bit Chris Pratt-ishness, but like the concept is much more dramatic than other films he's done.
I mean,
for sure.
he had already been in, at this point, he'd been in the Lego Movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Jurassic World
Oh, okay.
at this point. And then he,
solid movies.
yeah. And then
He's doing okay.
he's doing okay. He's
He's
like,
married to Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter, I believe.
yes.
Catherine.
Catherine Schwarzenegger. By the way, did y'all see any of the shit he was getting into last week on the internet?
Yeah, saw
Chris
it.
Pratt?
Chris Pratt.
He's canceled. I'm just
What
kidding.
was he doing?
He's like lightly canceled.
Everyone's canceled.
Canceled light.
Yeah.
We always talk about how like everyone's canceled.
Everyone's canceled all the time.
Probably canceled off this podcast.
Chris Pratt, yeah, because Chris Pratt, he was married to Anna Faris for a while.
Love her.
And then they had a child together, but
Max.
the child, I guess, had some developmental issues, and he left. But then he posted his new pregnant Schwarzenegger wife, and also said, "She gave me a healthy baby." In the caption on Instagram, and everyone's like, Chris Pratt.
I think he was trying to be like, you know, jokey on Instagram. Like the whole post, if you put it in context, he's like talking about like her birthday and shit like that. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
So was it just like, oh, like I'm having a healthy baby, or was it like a
no,
shot?
it was a whole
There's a
joke.
whole
it was a
shout-out
whole like about her
post.
birthday. Like she shouldn't expect anything because like here's a post about her, and like I think he was trying to be jokey, and like honestly, none of us are in their relationship.
No, of course
So
not.
we don't know how they talk to each other and shit like that. But yeah, I recently saw a picture of him wearing a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt, and I was like, "Oh, Chris."
He's definitely got like some religious stuff. He's definitely like in at one of those Hollywood churches that's supposed to be super inclusive, but doesn't actually like the LGBT community.
Sweet.
Yeah, real cool guy.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt is one of the epitome for me of like having to separate the art from the artist a little bit, and in terms of like,
That's sad.
I'm a
to
big
hear
fan of
that,
his.
'cause I love
I'm a
Guardians
big
is
fan
my
of his too,
favorite.
yeah.
I mean,
Marvel
Parks and
movies.
Recreation, like his character Andy, and like just hearing how much he like riffed in that show. He's like clearly a comedic genius, and his story too. Living in his car, like about
Right.
to quit the industry, like it's a very inspiring
Yeah,
story.
he was like waiting
Yeah.
in Hawaii. And
Yeah, but like,
That's
ooh,
not good to
Chris,
hear.
just shut the fuck up, man.
and I do think that this movie has some of his best acting that I've ever seen him in. Like
Great acting.
those first 30 minutes, he really, it's moving.
David's
man.
also an
Yeah,
actor.
like I said, it's charming.
I
But
would
there's
say-
some parts like, oh, I got out of the pod. Oh my God, it's bright.
Right.
Let's see you get out of the pod. Let's
I'll
see
get out of
you.
the fucking
You
pod.
get out of the pod, but will you cry in an airlock?
Oh, I'll cry in an airlock.
Okay.
I can cry in that goddamn airlock. You're going to be like, God damn, this guy's going to kill himself.
He's gonna go in that airlock and he's gonna die.
No, psych. I'll
Psych,
passenger
I'm fine.
somebody.
I'm gonna
I'm
passenger
going to
this
passenger
chick.
somebody. I don't
He
need to cry in an
should've-
airlock.
Ugh.
I'm going to make somebody
Yeah.
else cry in an airlock. Yeah, I think Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence both did some solid work in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's really just like I was shocked when I walked away from watching the movie. I was like, that was okay. But it's the worst kind of movie in that the more I talk about it, the more I realize how
Problems.
slapdash and problematic in terms of just like the construction. It just falls apart.
And you know what it is too is like we all know movies, we all know content. Like
Yep.
so much can change in the edit, so much can change like on the day. And so I to give this movie props, I don't think they went into making this like thinking like, oh, we're gonna make a guy's gonna passenger this girl, he's gonna consent, it's gonna be this. Like when they were making it at the time, clearly they thought like this is a super relevant film. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna put so much money into the production design. The music's amazing. And then just like when it came out, like just some choices, man, like just did not work.
Yeah.
Did not
Just
work.
go the other way. Like you're saying, if you know it could have been decent, and then you pick one little piece or one thread, and it just starts coming apart, and you're like, damn, well, that's stupid. Other movies that come off well, it might have a hole or two, but you were just like, overall, that was a good experience.
Yeah.
So you don't start picking at it.
Right.
And you might be, you probably can, but you just don't.
Right.
Movie like this, you're like, oh, what else they got here? Yeah.
Because I mean, like, let's look at some other sci-fi movies, like Arrival.
Yes.
Great film.
Love Arrival.
Very interesting, unique concept. I mean, sci-fi is such an interesting genre because it can be so many different things. Like, you can go crazy. So I love what you guys were saying earlier about, like, if this was from Jennifer Lawrence's perspective, this would be such a unique film because, yeah, there's this creepy guy right here, but it just, like, falls into the Hollywood trap of being, like, handsome, lonely guy picks beautiful woman. She falls in love. They have a problem. They save the day. Happily ever after. Cue Oscars. You know, like, just meh. Nah.
It just could have been, Arrival, I think, does interesting, unique sci-fi story in a much better way. I love, Alien is one of my all-time
Yeah,
favorite
we did
sci-fi
Alien in our
movies.
podcast. Yeah. Interstellar. We did an Interstellar podcast. I've never laughed so fucking hard. Like, that movie's not without its flaws, but
Yeah.
interesting, changing the rules a little bit.
Is it interesting? I don't like Interstellar.
Okay.
I am a huge. I love Christopher Nolan. I hate Interstellar.
Okay.
But
Big Christopher, yeah.
I can
love
let you,
that
I'm
movie.
gonna. That's why y'all are at that table and I'm at this table.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the way that this movie could have been done better is right there in front of them the whole time, and they just missed it, and it's such a shame.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And they should have used Laurence Fishburne more.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, not a lot of cast.
Not a lot of diversity. I mean, we did have.
I did see that Jennifer Lawrence made more money though.
Okay.
She made about
Yes.
$8 million more than
More
Chris
than
Pratt.
Pratt? All right.
It was
Like that.
it was 20 million or 30% after break even.
Yeah.
So one or the other.
And she had won at least one Oscar by this point, if
For
not
Silver
both of her
Linings?
Oscars.
Silver Linings
yeah.
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a new movie coming out with Meryl Streep, which I'm excited
That's
about.
like a comedy.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer for it today. Don't Look Up.
And Leo.
And Leo.
Because I was actually thinking
Jonah Hill.
when
Yeah,
I was
Kate
when I
Blanchett.
was watching
Yeah.
this film, I was like, God, I haven't seen Jennifer Lawrence in a minute. But movies take time, and she's probably
Right.
been working.
Did y'all see Red Sparrow?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
That was a good movie. I liked
liked
it.
Red Sparrow?
I liked what she did with it. I'll watch Jennifer Lawrence in anything. I just think she's a great actor.
Roll. Is she a whole pass, David?
She, you know what?
She's up there.
She's up there for my hall pass.
Shay Mitchell is your whole pass. We've talked about this many times.
I mean,
are we changing?
I've just never told my girlfriend a specific one because if I have the chance, I'm just going to say that's my hall pass.
Yeah.
That's a good. I would go Jennifer Lawrence as my hall pass, and this is why mostly. Y'all know in The Office how Michael Scott would say like Ava Longoria and me have the same birthday, so if we ever meet, we have something to talk about. Me and Jennifer Lawrence have the same birthday, same
nice.
exact birthday, same year and everything.
Oh wow!
Dang.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
be that's my
That's
way.
your
So
meet cute right
when
there.
when you meet her,
Yes.
that's your in.
Yes.
Just don't passengers her.
No. I will hall pass. I will not passengers.
So if it was reversed and J-Law passengered you, would you be okay with it?
I would basically have probably the same journey that she did with Chris Pratt, which is like
Yeah, it doesn't-
very not okay with it.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. And then I get stuck because of Stockholm syndrome. All I have left is
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to
Yeah.
be stuck together for 90 years and you're unwilling to wake anybody else on
What
the
if
ship
they get
up.
into a fight? Does she put herself into stasis for like 6 months? I'm going to my room.
And then he
goes
just
in.
yells on the PA system into the void, hoping that she can hear him through the fog. Ah, my God. Well, I can't believe I watched this whole thing.
I
can't believe y'all watched it multiple times.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And if you haven't seen this film, you should. There's actually 2 films called Passengers. One is from 2008. That is not this film. This is 2016.
2016.
No.
I haven't seen the other Passengers. But
I would assume it's probably better than this.
well, someone's probably
hope it
going
is.
into it being like, I don't know what they're talking about. There's no Jennifer Lawrence
Yeah,
in this
spaceship.
movie. Yeah.
Well, Paris, David, thank you again. This has been a real pleasure.
Thank you. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks for having us.
And everybody, of course, go listen to Aged Like Milk wherever you get podcasts, and you guys can follow it at Aged Like Milk on all the socials and things.
Yeah, we mixed it up. It's like at Age Like Milk Pod, at Age Like Milk. Just you'll find us.
Yeah.
Our logo, David is displaying
IG,
it.
Twitter.
It's like a milk
all the
con
good
with like a
things.
film.
Spilling out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
and just let us know what movies you think might have aged poorly, and we'll do them on the podcast.
And we're gonna have Jay on the podcast soon,
excited
so
to
we're
talk about
very
some-
excited. I mean, movies.
Something.
We
some
always
stuff.
talk again. We always say like we can shit on a film as much as you like. Every single person that worked on this movie got paid. It was a lot of hard work. People probably blood, sweat, and tears. And
Experience.
it might not have been the best execution in the end, but I'm glad it exists, even if I can just make fun of it.
If I may take a bit from you guys' section at the end there, I will say big shout outs to the production design team of this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me pull up the name. Who got nominated was Guy Hendricks Dias, Gene Sardina.
Yep.
Both got nominated for best production design at the Oscar for this. So shout out to the production.
And Thomas Newman also got a Oscar nomination for this for the music. He was, best original score.
I thought the cinematography was really good.
Well, I have that here. That is Rodrigo Prieto.
Yes, he's a great cinematographer. I love Rodrigo.
I do want to say, interestingly enough, John Spatz, who wrote Spitz.
John Spitz.
He wrote this, and it went on the blacklist and stuff. He also got a story by credit and an executive producer credit on Dune, which is another great sci-fi movie.
He's been a part of a lot of projects.
He wrote Prometheus.
Yep.
Prometheus
the
original
great.
version of Prometheus.
And The Darkest Hour. And interestingly enough, I thought it was interesting because like Denis Villeneuve also did Arrival, which is obviously like an amazing sci-fi film. And then this less of an amazing, but they, got to work together. So that's cool. We love Denny. He's
great.
Inspiring.
Fantastic. Love his films. Love his diner.
Great diner.
Subtle there. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. If you like the podcast, consider telling a friend, subscribing. Maybe get on the Patreon, huh?
Get on the Patreon. I've been on there for a while now, supporting him, and it's just, it feels good.
Thank you.
Maybe force someone to sign up. I don't know, like wake them up from the Stasis Pod.
Steal their credit cards, passenger them.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me that executive level breakfast
Yep.
in cash, please.
Yeah.
And that's all there is. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. This was
great.
really fun.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.